This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do. A rhetorical question is how we will start off today's show, and it is a simple one. Do you have your broomsticks ready? Because as we sit here in Cleveland, Ohio, home of the Cleveland Cavaliers, the reigning, defending NBA champions, they are down 0-3 in this best-of-7 NBA Finals series, a deficit of which no one in the history of basketball has ever overcome. The question is, do you think it's going to be at least stretched to a fifth game in this series since the Cleveland Cavaliers are down 3-0 in Game 4 tonight? Or do you think the broomsticks should be out because it is in full effect? Now, the answer, if you're thinking about Vegas, is already being proclaimed. According to pregame.com, the Cleveland Cavaliers are 6-point underdogs. Why is that significant? Because that 6-point deficit on the home court of LeBron James is the largest deficit he's ever had in terms of predictions. The underdog label. This is the largest underdog deficit he has had to accrue and have attached to his name in the last 12 years. What does that tell you? That tells you what we all pretty much already know. It's a foregone conclusion, barring a catastrophe, that the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to lose these NBA Finals. And by the end of this evening, Kevin Durant and the Golden State Warriors will be crowned NBA champions. Now, chances are there is a chance that Cleveland can win, mind you. There is a chance. And I started this off on First Take this morning, which airs on ESPN every weekday morning. I started off the show by making sure they asked this question. What can the Cavs do to stretch this series? And to me, it comes down to one thing and one thing only. It is not Tyronn Lue playing Channing Frye, even though that's something that he should consider. I don't want to hear that you can't put Channing Frye on the floor because he's a defensive liability when you've got Zaza Pachulia or JaVale McGee for the Warriors on the floor. If Steve Kerr and Mike Brown can find a way to put them on the floor, Tyronn Lue can damn sure find a way to put Channing Frye on the floor. Period. But whether it's Channing Frye or it's Kyle Korver, shooting 43.1% career from three-point range. 48.5% this season. But in these finals, the man is shooting less than 30%. 9 of 32 to be exact. That's a problem. But Kyle Korver's got to find a way to get it going, but I understand why he's on the floor. Dan Williams, Mr. $98 million man, formerly of the Brooklyn Nets, basically is on the verge of a donut performance. He's missed all 11 of his shots in these NBA Finals. 0 for 11. But that is not what you need in order for the Cleveland Cavaliers to stretch this series and to force a Game 5 back at the Oracle in Oakland. Here's what you need. Ladies and gentlemen, what you really, really need is LeBron James to bring out that man-child in him. I'm not disrespecting LeBron. I'm not saying that he hasn't been a man. I'm not saying that these 32 points, 12.3 rebounds, 10.3 assists per game on 55% shooting from the field and 38.9% from three-point range is a fluke. Those are big man numbers, big-time numbers. But do you realize, ladies and gentlemen, that LeBron James has only posted up once in these entire NBA Finals? He has been strictly out on the perimeter. Now, if Kyrie Irving at 6'2" is getting to the hole and hitting 13 of 16 shots in the paint area in one game, how in the hell is LeBron James not posting up? How are you not posting up to draw double teams so you can kick it out to open shooters, to attack the basket since Zaza Pachulia and JaVale McGee are the ones down low? How are you not attacking the basket? Knowing that if you do that, at the very least, it could dictate pace. And one would argue, at least this person, this one individual, Stephen A. Smith, I would argue with you, it's the only shot they have. You remember in the second half how tired LeBron James has looked? Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me show you how a little cheating can go a long way. LeBron James goes into the post. He drop steps. He goes up for a layup. He gets knocked to the ground. He's fouled. Why don't you just stay down for a little bit longer? Take a little rest. Take a nap. When you get up, why don't you lollygag to the free throw line? Take your time. There's no rush. When you sit up there and you finally get the ball in your hands, instead of shooting the ball in 5 seconds, why don't you use the whole 10 seconds? There are ways to cheat and get your rest and get a little Propel or Gatorade in you or something. I mean, you can pull off these things. These are important. And it's something that LeBron James should be considering because, ladies and gentlemen, nothing else is going to work. Kyrie Irving had 38, wasn't good enough. J.R. Smith hit 5 of 10 threes, didn't work, wasn't good enough. Now, it would have helped if Kevin Love had hit more than 1 of 9 shots. But you get the picture? You understand what's going on here? LeBron James has to be a man in the post. He has to command the ball down low, and he has to attack the basket. Get him in foul trouble. Slow their pace. Dictate pace on your end to some degree. And I think this series could potentially become interesting, at least for a game or two. Without it, Cleveland has no chance. And the series ends tonight.
Give Stephen A. piece of your mind.
He is sorry.
Call him weekdays from 1 till 3 Eastern.
I mean, just trash.
At 866-729-3776. You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Before I get to the phones, the IOC, Olympic Committee, International Olympic Committee, is adding 3-on-3 basketball to Olympic competition. So it's not just the dream team and full court basketball, but 3-on-3 Olympic basketball competition. Now, obviously, they'd probably be a part of the dream team, so I wouldn't put them on a 3-on-3 team. But if I had to pick a 3-on-3 squad, for me, it would be Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Kevin Durant. I don't even have to lead the Warriors. I'd pick those 3 because I'm going to make most shots. That's what I do. I'm just saying. 866-729-ESPN. That's the number to call up before my man Mark Jackson comes on the line. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Raymond in Queens. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Raymond. How are you?
Hey, good afternoon, Steve. How you doing, man? Just want to send my condolences to you and your family. Glad you're back, brother.
Thank you, my man. I appreciate that. Go ahead.
Quick question for you, man. I just want to ask your opinion on this, man. Barring injury, how long do you think Golden State can continue to keep going to the NBA Finals, bar injury?
At least 2 to 3 more years. At least 2 to 3 more years.
Hey, one more question for you. Do you think if Chris Paul ends up in San Antonio, do you think anything changes in the West?
Nope.
Nothing changes. Okay.
Listen. They'd have a better shot. Because Tony Parker's past his prime. He'd have Kawhi Leonard. He'd have Greg Popovich coaching that system, et cetera, et cetera. Their chances would improve, but I still would not give them the edge over Golden State. No, I would not do that.
Okay, just wanted your opinion on that, brother.
Thank you, man.
So who do you think can change with any free agent out there? Who do you think can change the power in the West?
I think if you held on to what you had in Cleveland and somehow you were Cleveland and you managed to get Paul George, I think that could make things interesting to go up against Golden State. I really, really do. But barring that, Melo, a lesser example with LeBron, I would like to see that. But Golden State would still have the edge. Got to run. I appreciate the call. Let's go to Ronald in Long Island. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Ron?
Hey, brother. How you doing, man? First of all, let me say, first of all, it's great to have you back at work, man. And again, you're a man, a son, a father, and most people pretty much, again, look at you, man, and look at you as this icon or whatever, but you're a human being. And with that, I say, man, my prayers are with you as you move forward, man, because you're a man who I know, we know, loved his mother, man. So glad to have you back, Stephen A.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that, man. Go ahead, man.
Hey, look, let me ask you this, because I caught this morning, and I wanted to know, from a guy like yourself, before I get to my basketball question, Stephen A., who do you look at to where you sit back, humble yourself, be quiet, and pretty much acknowledge has more basketball knowledge than you? I'm going off of your conversation with Max this morning. Who do you look at and just be quiet and just listen to?
One of my next guests, Mark Jackson. Definitely think that he has more knowledge. Kenny Smith, TNT. Definitely feel. First of all, I defer to all the players who actually played the game. I would never insult them by thinking that I know more than they know. Now, I learned the game from the great Clarence Big House Gaines and John McClendon, who was a mentor to him. They helped integrate the sport of basketball. My first job in the business was covering Temple and John Chaney. And then after that, I covered Larry Brown. And so considering my extensive basketball knowledge based off of that, I know my stuff. But at the same time, I always defer to the guys that actually coached and played in the game. Isaiah Thomas, the Mark Jacksons of the world, and, the Shaq and Kobe's and all. Please, I don't know basketball the way they know basketball because they played it on an elite level, and they know what they're talking about. But from a reporter's perspective, I would put my knowledge of the game up against anybody. That's just me.
Hey, look, I had to ask that question because I think, again, for the people that listen to you every day, it's important for them to know that, and that's why I posed that question. I wasn't trying to disrespect Max because I got love for Max, and I know Max knows the game of basketball. But Max knows the game of basketball from watching it. I know the game of basketball from reporting on it and understanding all the nuances that come with it, plus having played it on a collegiate level and having had to deal, directly with coaches who teach the game. That's where I get it from. So it's not that he doesn't know the game. I was just messing with him. But he does primarily watch it as opposed to experience it and report on it like I do. That's the difference. Right. My point about Golden State, right quick, I know you got to go, is this. You and I have had many debates on it recently, and I'm just going to say this. I have this thing that I just call the eye test after a while. We can do all the analogies we want. The eye test is my eye test, but I'm going to say this in this series. Number one, the energy and the fatigue factor that LeBron and Kyrie have put in the first 3.5 quarters, what they have lost in not being able to do in those last 2 minutes is based a lot on fatigue. The next thing, Tristan Thompson, I heard this conversation forever, and people downgraded, contrary to him not having the name, the McGee's, the West, Pachulias, Durant, even Iguodala, battling him on them boards. A lot of people did not mention, and then my last point, the way Golden State plays overall defense. People like to focus on the top four, the offense. Their commitment to defense and that bench is why they're going to have a title tonight.
All right,
I'll
man.
Leave it at that.
I appreciate the call. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Let's go to Al. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Al.
Hey, Stephen A. Condolences, bro.
Thank you.
Hey, I think it's going to be a sweep tonight. I just think that is too much for the Cavs to overcome. They may pull it out of pride, but I think it's going to be a sweep. And I also wanted to ask you about this possible trade. You heard LeBron talk about he doesn't have a problem with super teams, and he's talked about his admiration for Coach Popovich. What do you think would happen if Paul signs with the Spurs and somehow the Cavs, if LeBron makes it known that he wants to leave after what happens, the Cavs trade LeBron to the Spurs?
You're not trading. Stop. You're not trading LeBron to the Spurs. I won't even entertain that question. You're not doing that. There's only one way you would do it, and that's if you traded Kawhi Leonard. And why would the Spurs get rid of Kawhi Leonard, the 25-year-old Kawhi Leonard? That's not happening.
So how does LeBron leave if he just wants to lead the Cavs?
And after next season, he's a free agent. Not this year.
You don't see no way that
LeBron's not getting traded.
And Kawhi Leonard?
Don't waste your time asking me that question again. LeBron's not getting traded. That's not going to happen.
See any way that Paul and LeBron and Kawhi could play on the Spurs and build this super team to compete against the
only after next year? Only if LeBron was to go to San Antonio next year. That's possible. I doubt it, but that's possible. That's how it could happen. But Cleveland's not trading him now. That's not happening. Appreciate the call. Mustafa, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey there, buddy.
Speak up. We can't hear you, Mustafa. I'm sorry. We can't hear you. Speak up.
What about now, brother? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can now. Go ahead.
Okay. My condolences to your mother. I wish you nothing but the best for your whole family, okay? I know a lot of people said this to you, but I had to say it. The Golden State Warriors, I'm thinking they could be the greatest team ever assembled. But because their margin of error is so large that they can do anything. Like, it's amazing to me. Kyrie Irving and LeBron James both had nearly 40 points, and still they lost the game. And Warriors have 20 turnovers in Game 2, and they still win the game by a wide margin. I'm thinking, are they better than 96 Bulls? I don't think so, but I'm thinking if they pull this game off tonight and go 16-0, because Shaq and Kobe won 15-1, and it's going to be 96 Bulls. I mean, they're an incredible team. Yes, I think Scottie Pippen can match up with Durant and Jordan and Ron Harper. They have savage full court defense, but I honestly think if they keep this up for the next year or two, keep dominating like this, they might surpass the 96 Bulls.
Well, then call me when they do it. Call me when they do it. Because competition matters and who you're going up against matters. And the fact of the matter is, when I think about the Los Angeles Lakers, you had Kareem and Magic and Worthy and Byron Scott and Michael Cooper and Michael Thompson and Kurt Rambis and the crew. I'm not giving this team the edge over that. Yeah, you can sit up there and do what you're doing when Tristan Thompson, Mr. 2.7 points per game, is in the middle for you if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers. But what would you do if you were Golden State and you had to defend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? What would you do if you had to defend James Worthy? What would you do if you had to deal with Magic Johnson dictating and controlling the pace? What would you do then? How effective would you be then? Who would you have to answer for that then? Those are the reasons why I'm not giving that edge. I respect where you're coming from. I appreciate what all of y'all are saying, but I'm not going for that. I'm not getting caught up in okie doke. Not yet. Sorry. Appreciate the call. Jeremiah, you're live with Stephen A. Real quick. Go ahead, Jeremiah.
Hey, what's going on, my man, Stephen A?
Thank you.
Welcome back, man.
Thank you, bro.
Listen, of course I'm going with a sweep for the night. My question to you is, I'm hearing a lot about, as far as Golden State being somewhat of a super team. Me personally, I actually want to find out, what is your definition of a super team?
Well, we're talking multiple dynasties. Multiple championships. We're talking, when you've got elite players all over the place, which they have. They're an elite team. They are a super team right now. There is no question about it. I think they qualify when Kevin Durant is one of the top 2 players in the world. And I think to answer your question directly, any team that has 2 of the top 5 players in the world, you're a super team in today's NBA, because everybody ain't getting that.
My rebuttal to that is that it took for LeBron to go to create his own super team. And what I mean by super team, my definition as far as looking at it is, you actually went on a team with one who's already had a championship ring, and also another player who was already listed as an all-star in the league. When I look at a team like
I don't understand why it's a rebuttal. What's the issue?
The issue of the situation is, I'm not feeling as far as Golden State being a super team. To me, I feel as though there is a well-coached team, a team that is well put together. The pieces that the owner and the coach, as far as I give a lot of credit to Mark Jackson, is putting the team together that plays for one another, that plays basketball the correct way.
Stop right there. Stop right there. You just told on yourself. What you really, really trying to say, bro, is that you do recognize, particularly if they win the chip, that they are a super team. What you have a problem with is that Steve Kerr and others are getting credit instead of your man Mark Jackson. Tell the truth. That's what you really say. Tell the truth. Okay. We know. See, that's what, bro, you on radio. It's okay. And you on with me. It's all right. It's all right. I understand how you feeling. Because what you're really, really saying is, Mark Jackson deserves more credit than people giving it to him. I don't like the fact that he's not getting no credit, so I'm not going to call him a super team. Don't worry about it. There's a lot of people that feel the way that you do. But this is a super team, especially if they win the championship. We can't deny that.
Guess what?
You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
The one and only Mark Jackson, who's on the line with us right now. What's going on, big time? How are you?
All is well, bro. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, first of all, let me just extend my gratitude to you. I extended my gratitude to my listeners yesterday. Thank you so much for mentioning my mom and my family the way that you did in Game 1, man. I appreciate the love. Thank you so much, man.
Absolutely. Nothing but love and continuing to pray for you and the family.
Thanks a lot, bro. Let me ask you this question. Knowing the NBA the way that you do, everybody's looking at the Warriors as a super team and maybe the greatest ever. How are you feeling about these Warriors when you hear such comparisons?
Well, they're a great team. I'm not going to say the greatest ever. I think, the folks haven't learned their lesson. Last year was a 73-team Warrior victory during the course of their regular season where people said they were the greatest team ever. But once they lost, if you considered them the greatest ever if they won, then why didn't people say the Cleveland Cavaliers beating them 3 straight was the greatest team ever? Because it made no sense, quite honestly, as great as they were. This is a great team, much improved from last year when you upgrade with Kevin Durant. But I've, played and watched too much basketball to state that they're the best team of all time. They're a great team, and if they pull off another victory, they'll be a championship team. But I played against those Magic Showtime Lakers. I played against those Bird teams. I played against the Bulls. I played against some teams that were great and didn't win a championship. So I have too much respect for them, but this team deserves a lot of credit.
In your estimation, just as an aside, who do you consider to be the greatest team ever?
Say that one more time, sorry?
I said, in your estimation, just as an aside, who do you consider to be the greatest team ever?
Well, I look at those Bulls teams. I look at those Lakers teams with the Showtime Lakers. I look at the Shaq and Kobe team, and a very good team, but I don't put them in the Lakers Showtime teams. And the Celtics with Bird and those guys. I mean, those 3 teams, to me, were absolutely unbelievable and had all-time greats on their team. And, you're talking about, 4 or 5 Hall of Famers on each team, not including the head coaches.
Mark Jackson right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Let's get into this series. Pinpoint for us all why you personally believe the Cavaliers are down 0-3 in this series.
Well, they've done a poor job of putting together 48 minutes of great basketball. Against this Warrior team, adding Kevin Durant, you cannot make mistakes. You look up, you're up 3, you're down 3, or whatever the situation may be. You make 2 or 3 mistakes. Well, against a different team, had maybe 4 points. Well, you make 2, 3 mistakes against this team, that could be 9, 10 points. They're an incredible, all-time great shooting team when you talk about at the point guard, shooting guard, and small forward position, and they're incredibly disciplined. So in order to beat them, you have to control the pace, which the Cavs haven't done for 48 minutes. They've done it in spurts where they've been successful. And you got to minimize your mistake, which they haven't done. And you can't make mistakes defensively, which they've done also. I mean, it's a 2-point ball game. You're ahead. First of all, you don't go 2 for 1 in one situation with Kyrie with the basketball, and then you allow Kevin Durant to bring the ball at the floor and step into a practice rhythm jump shot from 3. These are mistakes that cannot happen if you're going to beat a great team.
I'm wondering why is it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, I'm looking at a guy like Kyrie Irving. Yeah, that was an ill-advised shot that he took near the end, no doubt about that. But outside of that, he played sensational offensive basketball. He had 13 of 16 shots in the paint for 26 points in that Game 3. Yet a guy 7 inches taller and about 50 pounds heavier in LeBron James has had 1 post play this entire series. Can you explain that to me, because I don't understand it?
Well, the first thing, great question. The first thing I'll say is I don't believe it was an ill-advised shot by Kyrie. I believe it was ill-advised as far as the timing of the shot. If he takes that shot 10 seconds, 12 seconds earlier, then it's an ideal 2 for 1. So I have no problem with the shot. They're champions because he made a similar shot over Steph Curry. Mm-hmm. But as far as LeBron James is concerned, to me, the size, the strength, the skill, the ability to read and react, whether it be scoring or passing out of the post, to me it's a matchup that they should be exploiting. I'd like to see him much more aggressive. It puts pressure on Kevin Durant or Draymond Green, whoever's defending him. It's quality offense, and most importantly, also you're controlling the pace, which they did last year by putting him on the block. I think they're giving too much respect to Kevin Durant as a defender, even though he's a great defender, very good defender, I will say. They're giving him too much respect. Put pressure on them by attacking them on the block. You never know. A guy picks up 2 early fouls is a totally different ball game, and their defense is now reacting differently.
Not just that, Mark. Draymond Green has been in foul trouble the entire series, and other than him, you've got Jaja Pachulia and JaVale McGee. What am I missing? I can't believe this. I really can't.
Well, you're right. But and those guys have done very good jobs. But I think you have to attack the interior of the Warriors' defense. And the Cavs have done it at times very effectively. But I think it has to be a steady diet of it, whether it be post-ups or attacking the paint area.
Alarmed at all that Tristan Thompson is averaging just 2.7 points and 3.7 rebounds in this series, or is there something we're missing from that picture?
Alarmed. Staggering numbers when you look at the impact that he had last year. Give the Warriors credit. Game planning, being disciplined individually and collectively, keeping him off the offensive boards, which he dominated at times in last year's finals. When you look at the rebounding numbers, Steph Curry, I believe, right now has 29 rebounds in the series, and Tristan Thompson has 11. He's much better than that. The first step is owning the fact that you've underachieved and try to impact the game possession by possession. It starts tonight, but I am very alarmed that his damage has been minimized in these finals.
Mark Jackson right here with Stephen A. Smith on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. I want to take you off the court for a second, Mark, and help me out with this. Prior to this series beginning, the Boston Celtics had lost in the Eastern Conference Finals to LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. When they lost that game, LeBron was asked about going up against the Golden State Warriors. And his initial response was, I don't want to talk about them. It's just too stressful to think about. I just don't want to talk about them yet, not right now. And I just thought that was an indictment against his own team and his own chances before this series even began. I want to know, have you heard something like that before from a champion? And in your estimation, am I making too much of that approach that he appeared to have to this final series against these guys?
Well, you could be making too much of it because if we look back now and it was 3-0 Cleveland, that'd be a throwaway line that he made. But then again, you look at the results and you could be making not enough of it. The reaction that I realized when that statement was being made by LeBron, if you look in the background, Kyrie Irving is standing there almost like, yeah, I can't wait. That's what I would rather have seen from LeBron in that statement. Yeah, we're going to enjoy this victory. We know the task that's ahead, playing a great team, but we're excited to face them again. Something along those lines. But his record is proven. His greatness is proven. He's climbing the charts of all-time great. I'm not going to question him about his reaction after winning a Eastern Conference Finals. But this is a team that has a daunting task in front of them. Last year was to win three straight. Right now it's to win 4 straight. But it starts with tonight.
Couple more questions with Mark Jackson before I let him get on out of here right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio. What's your prediction for tonight? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, the Warriors are a great team. They're playing fantastic on both sides of the ball. I think looking at 3 nights so far where the Cavs have made mistakes, I'm not going to trust them to play 48 minutes of mistake-free basketball. So I would not be surprised if the Warriors ended it tonight. I know their DNA. I know their personalities. Their mindsets are not, it is not, oh, let's take care of business at home. Their mindset is, let's finish these guys off while we have the opportunity.
And if the Cavs indeed get swept tonight, how do you feel that makes LeBron look, A, and B, what changes would the Cleveland Cavaliers need to make in order to come back and avenge a finals loss to these Golden State Warriors?
He's an all-time great. He's climbing the charts to where it's rare air, no pun intended. It will not make him look good if he gets swept. It can't be debated, in my opinion, who the best player in this series or the best player in the world is, which is LeBron James. Kevin Durant is the second best, but LeBron James being the best player being swept is not a good look. And I think ultimately if they did lose tonight, we will see some changes. We will not see the same Cavaliers team because they realize the adjustments that's got to be made. You know, I think about this. They won a championship with Kevin Love. Right. Great trade. If you think about this, and I did not say it on the air yet, but I will. If they had not made the trade for Kevin Love and they selected Andrew Wiggins, they'd be much prepared, much better equipped to beat this Warrior team with another slasher, perimeter guy that can play the 2 or the 3.
But they wouldn't have had that three-point shooting.
No, he's a good three-point shooter, but you don't need the three-point shooting. Now they have a guy that can legitimately give LeBron a breather defending Kevin Durant, even though Durant is still going to get his. But now they have another guy that can attack the Warriors' defense because Steph Curry's got to guard somebody, where Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant will be forced to guard, Wiggins or James. But I think it'd be a much better equipped team against this Warrior team. And that's not saying anything against Love. They're champions because they made the deal. But today they would be better off against the Warrior team.
Very last question. If you had a choice to move Love and to get your hands on Paul George or Carmelo Anthony, who would be better suited with this Cavs team to go after Golden State next year with one of those two guys being added to LeBron's squad? Which one would it be, George or Melo?
Well, both of those guys are great players, and I think they would be better equipped with either one of those guys because of the scoring ability. The edge to me, even though I love Carmelo Anthony, would be Paul George because he's a two-way player, and he can get it done on the defensive end also. And also you can put him in pick and rolls. He can initiate the offense. But I think both of those guys would be home run talents for him.
Mark Jackson, always appreciate you, bro. I'll see you at the game tonight.
Great talking to you.
No doubt. The one and only Mark Jackson.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
Haim in Staten Island. Talk to me real quick.
Hey, Stephen A.
Man, get all that noise out of my ear in the background. You on the air, bro. We can't understand you.
I know radio. I'm young fella. Listen, I just wanted to give you condolences on your situation. But I wanted to know that I read somewhere in an article that a reporter spoke to and interviewed LeBron, and it was inferred that LeBron was interested in joining Golden State to win.
I never heard that. I never heard that.
No?
No, never. LeBron was interested in going to Golden State?
Yeah, for his
Absolutely
legacy.
not. Absolutely not. That's not true.
I mean, he'll be winning a championship. He'll gain more rings.
That's not true, sir. That's not true. That's all I can tell you. Appreciate the call. Thank you. Let's go to Anthony in White Plains. Real quick, Anthony. Go ahead.
Yes, hi, Stephen A. I'd just like to send my condolences, and it's glad to have you back. I've been a fan for a long time.
Thank you so much.
I just wanted to say to you, Stephen, that I think Golden State will win because they have too much of the memories of what happened the year before. They wanted to get it done quickly. But I have a question for you. What do you feel about the fact that they're moving Kyrie and changing the nucleus of the team, building around Irving and LeBron? Because I don't think his coaching ability is as good as it should be. And to me, he's not a good coach because of how he's playing in the last few minutes of these games.
Well, we were questioning him last year too, and then they turned around and they won. And so when you look at it from that perspective, listen, is Tyronn Lue flawless? No. Are there things he could be doing better? I'd have LeBron posting up more. I'd find a way to get Channing Frye in there to defend against Pajulia and McGee so the floor could be spread. I definitely would do things like that, but ultimately I'm not going to indict the man. The man stands here today still as a champion, and I'm going to give him the respect that he deserves.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Channel 80 and the ESPN app.